I think Grambling State head coach Mickey Joseph has a pretty good idea. It's time for teams to start getting paid when their players transfer to bigger schools. Oh yeah, it's Locked On HBCU. Play my music.
You are Locked On HBCU, your daily podcast covering HBCU sports. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, family? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On HBCU podcast, your number one daily one-stop shop for everything HBCU athletics, Monday through Friday, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And I, of course, am Darrion Gray, aka the Mouth of the South, Texas Southern alum and former TSU Herald Sports editor and current contributing writer at USA Today's Saints Wire. Thank you for going on this journey with me. Making Locked On HBCU your first listen of the day every day. And remember, just because the mic cuts off, I'm excited for this one. Does not mean that the journey is over. Just means it's time to follow me on Twitter at South Exclusives. Starts with an S and ends with an S. We cocked that one back early. So today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. Stock up today and stay energized. We'll wrap up with 4 players to watch in the HBCU All-Star game. That will be tomorrow. It will be Saturday. Depending on when you're hearing this, it may no longer be tomorrow. It might be today. It might have been yesterday. But if you're checking this out a little late, go check out what these players did in the game. In segment 2, Dante Jackson absolutely shocks the HBCU world when he leaves Grambling for Alabama A&M. I did not see this one coming. But I want to kick it off with one. I think it's a little bit, I'm going to keep it Grambling, but I think this is a little bit of an underrated idea. And if you just work with it a little bit, Mickey Joseph's idea that we should be getting paid for bigger schools taking HBCU talent, I think it's got some legs. And I know it doesn't just stop at HBCUs. This will not be an HBCU bill. This will not be something like that. This will be a smaller school bill. But we got to have a couple of regulations placed on this. And one of the regulations is who's getting paid and by who? Because I think I've seen somebody say, it might have been Robert Jones when I was reading an article about it, that if the players get paid and they were on the NIL, they should have to pay some of the NIL back. Okay. So players are paying to leave. They're buying out of their contract, which is very common with coaches. I think that Mickey Joseph was saying that the schools who come to get these players should have to pay. I prefer that. I'm very pro player. So I would prefer that we're looking at schools paying instead of athletes paying. But then there comes the next question. What schools are paying? How much are they paying? Because I know we talk about the transfer portal. We've talked about it more this offseason than I feel like we ever have, right? And every HBCU is aware of it. If you don't know about the transfer portal or how it impacts the school, your team is not good enough. They do not develop enough talent. That is the truth of the matter, because everybody is getting talent stolen. But on the FCS level, they take from the D2 ranks. So now, if FCS takes from D2, does D2 get a check? How are we regulating this? This is why when Mickey Joseph says NCAA, if you hear me, that's very important, because this has to go through the NCAA. There is no goodwill check that's going to be cut. If Mickey Joseph, and I think other FCS coaches who should probably join Mickey Joseph, want to get paid for the players that they're losing, you can't go to the school that is taking the player. You have to go to the institution, which is the NCAA. Mickey Joseph understands the impact of the transfer portal. Mickey Joseph is not blaming any of these players. Matter of fact, he is completely understanding of why a player would go to a bigger school. We've often talked about the idea of making it to the league in whatever sport that you're in. And I do believe that plays a part. But if schools are going to come in and recruit these players with a check, then I think a check should be cut to the school. Mickey Joseph brought this up. He said, hey, man, players only doing what coaches have been doing. They're going to go to the best opportunity financially for themselves to take care of the family. So when the players do it, we can't blame them. He said, I'm just saying I need a little check cut. And Andrew Jones just left to go to the SEC. I can guarantee you that SEC school can cut a check to Grambling. I can guarantee you they can cut a check to Grambling. It's not that difficult. It wouldn't cost them that much. But like I said, I think I had 3 questions that I had written down as far as understanding or what questions need to be answered. So here we go. Is this a case-by-case basis? So is this just, all right, that player moves, so yeah, you got to give him a chance here. What about the grad transfer who just decided he wants to try his hand at the SEC and he's not getting any NIL money? That was a tongue twister, huh? Any NIL. Guess not. Guess I just couldn't talk because I said it perfectly right then. But there's certain questions. I love Mickey Joseph's premise. I love Mickey Joseph's premise that we should be paying smaller schools when bigger schools take their players. I think that is a way to compensate the schools for the development. I think that's a way to compensate the schools for the recruitment. I don't think it deters bigger schools from going to get the players. So the players are still going to get the opportunities that they are currently getting. I think it works out. It's just a few questions. Number one, if a player doesn't get any NIL compensation, is there still a buyout that's required? That needs to be stated. Is this a case-by-case basis or is it universal? And lastly, does it matter where they go? Because if an FCS school takes from a D2 school, is there a check being cut? And I can guarantee you it shouldn't be the same amount. It should not be the same amount as if a SEC Power 5 school takes from an FCS school, right? Like, let's say Ole Miss takes from Alcorn. That shouldn't be the same as Mississippi Valley State taking from Delta State. I don't think it should be. I do not think that should be the same thing. Now, if it's within the same subdivision, what goes there? Because everybody don't have the same checks. I think there's a lot of questions. I think there's a lot of questions when it comes to Mickey Joseph's idea that we should be getting paid when small school prospects go to bigger schools. I'm all for the idea. I'm just bringing the things to the discussion table that need to be brought so that we can bring them to the NCAA. I'll say them again, kind of in summation. Is this only going to be when G5 and P4 schools take players? Or is it going to be when FCS takes from the D2? Because the FCS is not the bottom of the totem pole here. It is not the bottom of the transfer portal totem pole. So who is getting paid what? And how much do you get paid? Is it determined on how many subdivisions you jump? Is it determined on what subdivision you go to? For example, I've seen a D2 player who's gone G5, P5, or P4. I think it might be P5 at that time, P4 now. Do they get a bigger check from that school because they went up 3 subdivisions or 2 subdivisions? These are questions that need to be answered. I think it's a very, very good idea, though. Coaches get charged buyouts all the time. All the time. You're going to break this contract, got to get a buyout. And essentially, it's a contract. When you're on scholarship, at least, it's a contract. So I support this. Mickey Joseph, forward-thinking move, and I think a lot of people feel this way. The benefit of it is if I'm going to develop a player, if I'm going to lose a player that I developed, at least let me get a little bit of a finder's fee. At least let me get a little bit off of that so that I can be compensated, and it's going to help the schools. I think it'll be much better. It's not going to hurt the bigger schools. It's going to help the smaller schools. All in all, this makes a lot of sense to me. I am pro this idea. Mickey Joseph, pat yourself on the back. We got a lead topic, and it's something that we need to investigate. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me what you think. I like it. What do you think about the questions I posed? Remember, make sure I have it right here so I can ask those questions all together. Okay. Is it a case-by-case basis? Is it a universal moving up a subdivision? Meaning, is FBS talent the only time, or going up to the FBS the only time that a check is being cut? These are questions that I want to know. Phenomenal idea. It needs regulation, of course. But I agree with Mickey Joseph. Cut me off some. Break me off a little bit of change, man. Anyway, we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep pushing, and we're going to take a look at Dante Jackson's move to Alabama A&M that, in my opinion, shocked the world. But you know what? He explained it very well. So let's get into that as we continue with Locked On HBCU. Life moves fast, especially when you have a family. One day you're watching your kids take the first steps, and then before you know it, they're off to college. So you know what? Securing their family or securing their future is so important that Fabric by Gerber Life makes it simple to get term life insurance that fits your family needs. With Fabric, you can apply for term life insurance online right from your couch. I'm sitting on one as we speak, and you could be covered in under 10 minutes. And in many cases, you don't even need a health exam. So peace of mind is something I think is always important as a parent. I'm sure you want to make sure that your family is financially protected no matter what happens. In order to do that, you have to join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their families. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. That's meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company, not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions. Listen, it's baseball season. And I already know you want to make a little bit of money, right? So go ahead and get down with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections. And if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs. Prize Picks keeps every game exciting. Shout out to my boy Skeens with the stash. You know how it goes. You want to build your lineup? You can go with Aaron Judge for more than 1 home run, or Shohei Ohtani for more than 1 stolen base, or you can go with my boy Skeens and the amount of strikeouts that he has. It's that easy. It's just on you. So if I were you, I would go ahead and download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter if it's the draft. Doesn't matter if it's baseball. Doesn't matter if it's basketball. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. As we continue rolling on today's episode of Locked On HBCU, I appreciate you for making this your first listen of the day. Every day for your second listen, make sure you're checking out Locked On College Basketball. As I'm recording this, I don't know what's going to happen with the Final Four. I think the women are playing today, and I think the men play tomorrow. So you go ahead and check out my girl Paige Bucket's future of the Dallas Wings, and y'all go check out the episode to see what they have to say about it. But I'll tell you what, in the college basketball world that we're focusing on, and that is Donte Jackson at Alabama A&M. And it's something that absolutely shocked the world. And the HBCU coaching ranks are insane. Eddie George leaving Tennessee State in the beginning of March. Donte Jackson in the beginning of April deciding I'm going to leave a team I just won a championship with just a year ago to go rebuild a program at Alabama A&M. I didn't see this coming. Matter of fact, let me tell you how I found out. The way that I found out that Donte Jackson was leaving Grambling is I was just scrolling on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it what his mama called it. That's Twitter. I was scrolling on Twitter, and I found out that the Grambling head coaching position was on Indeed. I said, why would they do that? I know they ain't fired Donte Jackson. He just won a championship a year ago. There's no way that they fired Donte Jackson. And I bet you everybody not connected to Alabama A&M had that same exact feeling. Why in the world would Grambling be posting their job on Indeed? Then I started thinking. I said, no way they fired him. Has to be the Alabama A&M coach, right? Has to be. And they announced it like it was a big move. Like, hey, we're announcing our coach on Thursday. This has to be him. This will be a huge move. I start looking. Boom, 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 boom. I'm searching you. And there it goes. Donte Jackson is the head coach of Alabama A&M. This is a move that is absolutely ridiculous. This is a move that we should not underrate. This is a move that should be getting the same praise as hiring Reggie Barlow. That may seem a little bit hyperbolic, but I'm serious, especially when you're talking about an inter-division or inter-conference move. When you're talking about a conference-to-conference move, it's one thing when Bussy goes to, I can't remember where he went to, but Chicago State, I think. It's one thing when he does that, because I can just look at the impact on Alcorn. And I would argue that most people from Chicago State could care less about what happens with Alcorn. I could argue that, right? Like, why does that even matter to them? That doesn't sound right. But Chicago State, that does not sound right at all. But they could care less what happens with them, because what does that matter to them? They probably aren't going to face them. Yeah, no Chicago State. Well, we get to watch the Alcorn search for a new head coach. But when you're talking about an inner conference move, I can see the impact on Grambling, and I get to see the impact on Alabama A&M. So you're taking a coach away from your competitor. And especially when we're not talking about football, we're talking about a conference that's just all together in basketball, no divisions. I get to see the impact that has on Grambling. And I know Grambling didn't have a great year this year. They ended up upsetting Southern in the first round. So that was a big deal, but they didn't have a great season in 2024. Please, and I'm asking you sincerely, please do not get duped into thinking that this is not a major hire simply because Grambling was a lower seed in the SWAC tournament. Allow me to read to you Dante Jackson's resume. This first one extends beyond just Grambling and goes through his entire 15 seasons as a head coach, but he's 263 and 85. So that's his winning percentage. He's a 3-time SWAC coach of the year, 3-time regular season champion, a 2-time Ben Jobe Award winner, which means he was the best minority coach in all of Division I basketball. Doesn't just mean that he was just the best coach in the SWAC or the best coach in the SWAC and MEAC. He was the best men's basketball coach who was of a minority in all of Division I basketball. High major, mid major, doesn't matter. He earned that honor twice, once of which was just a year ago in 2024. Also, in 2024, he wins the SWAC tournament. Throw the resume out the window. Do not focus on 2025 because we've seen a long stretch of Dante Jackson being a great head coach. And in 2024, just 365 days ago, right? This man was the SWAC regular season champ, SWAC tournament champ, SWAC coach of the year, Ben Jobe coach of the year, meaning he was the best minority coach in all of Division I men's basketball. Like, he was an elite coach, made it to the NCAA tournament, won a game. He brought Grambling to heights that they haven't seen in decades. This is a phenomenal hire. And now, not only do you get to boost your own team, you get to sit back and watch Grambling try to figure out a way to get another quality head coach. And if they don't, you have the up. This is beautiful. So why did he do it? That was the thing that confused me. Why would he make this decision? You had so much success at Grambling, that I just don't understand. Let me see. He just signed an extension, I think maybe 2 years ago. If not last year. I'm typing with one hand because I'm holding the mic with my other hand. Yes. Okay, so it was just last year. Like, that's the thing. When I also saw that he was hired at Alabama A&M, I thought to myself, didn't he just sign an extension? So why? I think the question becomes why. Once you go through what you're getting in a head coach, why are you getting this head coach? And I want to go through a couple of quotes that Dante Jackson had and why it all revolves around his need to rebuild programs, which is interesting to me. But he says, and I quote, "My wife and myself needed a change of scenery. After a lot of deep, thoughtful discussions, tough conversations, we decided to hit the reset button. We needed the opportunity to refocus our purpose, refocus to build a brand new program into a championship contender, and we just needed to change the scenery." When you go to restaurants, they don't ask you, do you want your bread toasted? Right? Like that's nice. The bread's there. And I think that's the message he wants us to come into and leave with. So, all right, we need a change of scenery. Cool. That's what we're going to take. But as I look in, and I say, all right, you want it well done, medium well, medium rare, how you want it? I look in the middle, right? Like that's what we look at when we're looking at burgers. He says, we needed the opportunity to refocus our purpose, refocus to build a brand new program into a championship contender. Keep that right there. Let's get to how he identifies himself. Dante Jackson says, "I'm a program builder. It's time to turn this program into one of the best in the SWAC, the state, the region, the nation. It's time to build a program that will compete for championships every single year." As I combine these two quotes that he had, right? I combine these two quotes. His self-identification is as a program builder. I would argue that means his defining trait in his own mind is his ability to build programs. Cool. I've seen him do it at Stillman, seen him do it at Grambling, whatever. But then you look at, he says, our purpose. We needed the opportunity to refocus our purpose, refocus to build a brand new program into a championship contender. So as you talk about your purpose, and tell me if I'm stretching, I don't think I am. Your purpose is to build programs into championship contenders. Your identity is that you build programs into championship contenders. You've outlined your identity and your purpose. And I understand you're saying you needed a change of scenery, and I'm not going to denounce that. I'm not going to disagree with it. But I would argue this certainly sounds like Grambling has achieved what he felt like he could achieve with the Tigers. I'm not going to take away from the fact that he's saying he needed a change of scenery. I refuse to call people liars when I don't know them. But I will say that the change of scenery played a part, but I don't know if it played as big of a part as what he needed to do. Dante Jackson looks at himself as a coach who is meant to build programs. You've achieved heights at Grambling that they hadn't seen in decades. Maybe there's no more to do. And when you get a guy like Paul A. Bryant, who you have a great history with, yeah, this feels like a proper place to be. He mentions this. Dr. Bryant has been a pivotal person in my life as far as my development as a person, as a man, and as a coach or as a mentor. We all need that one person that believes in you, gives you a chance to show your talents and show what you can do. He's been that person for me. This is the third time that he's been hired by Dr. Bryant. Third time. So when he talks about getting a chance, it's happened a few times. Hired him at Stillman, hired him at Grambling. Now he hires him at Alabama A&M. Now, Bulldogs, I want you to be wary. Every time that Brian has hired Dante Jackson, he's left the next year. He's left. He hired him at Stillman in 2014. He was out the door before that. He hired him at Grambling in 2018. He was out the door right after that. I'm not saying he's going to leave Alabama A&M, but I just thought that was kind of interesting to me. But this is a phenomenal hire. So just want to bring that to you, man. On Monday's episode, we're going to revisit this. Actually, we're going to revisit Paul A. Bryant and everything that he's been able to do, because I think he needs to be mentioned as one of those great athletic directors. So make sure you're on the lookout for that tomorrow. Or Monday. It might even lead the show. I'm not going to lie to you. But anyway, as we push forward, we're going to look at the All-Star game. We're briefly going to go through 4 players, 2 on each team, or 2 in each game that you need to watch. And it's heavy MEAC centric. I'm not even going to lie to you, but we're going to do that as we continue with Locked On HBCU. Man, I don't know about you, but I've been tired more and more lately. I don't know where this comes from, but I found myself drained, and I found myself in the need of a quick pick-me-up. And with 5-hour energy, that's what I get. Small package, take a shot back, easy. You're good for the next few hours to push through a rough morning, to push through a late night study session, a late night recording session, or maybe that post-lunch itis that you get. You can push through all of it. So whether you're staying up late to watch the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, go to 5-hour energy. Those are all great reasons to use it. If I were you want to get it right now, go ahead and go to your convenience store, local convenience store, or grocery store, and you can pick it up there. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. You can even build your own 12 to 24 pack delivered right to your door. Need one now? Go to your local grocery store or convenience store to stock up and stay energized.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
As we're wrapping up today's episode of Locked On HBCU, I appreciate you for making this your first listen of the day, every day, making it all the way to segment 3. And I thank you 2 times for that. Thank you. Diamond Johnson, Layla Lawrence, Christian Ings. Actually, I got an extra one. I got 5 for you. I thought I only had 4. Sanaya Reed and also Shannon Grant. So I want to start off with Ings because Ings just won the dunk contest. great dunk contest. My favorite one was his windmill because he got up. Like I thought that was my favorite dunk of his. I've realized I'm not huge on the jump over people dunk. It's cool and whatnot, but it kind of requires that person to be tall. Otherwise, you just like it's impressive all the time. Like it's not an easy thing to do. As a person who can't dunk at all, I don't want to poo-poo it. But the windmill is the one that gets me. Like it's going to get a high score to jump over somebody, but the high windmill, the explosive, powerful windmill, I thought that was my favorite. And what I liked about Ings' dunk contest is that he added the flair to it. When he was, he said, looking up there, like he confused, like, dang, I got that high. You know you could get that high, boy. Like, come on now. But I enjoyed that. It's the showmanship. There's things about the dunk contest that are special. Showmanship, creativity, power, and explosivity. Those are the things that we are really looking at in dunk contests. And he had it. So he ends up winning that. I think eyes are on him. So now he goes into the All-Star game, what would be 2 days later. This happened on Thursday. The game will be on Saturday. People are going to be paying attention to who is this Christian Ings guy because he did just have a dunk contest win. And with extra eyes, you should be a part of that group. Christian Ings is not just a dunker. He's not just that. He's not just a guy, hey, clear out the way. Let's see what he can do this time. No, he's not just that. He's a player who, when Norfolk State won the the CIT a year ago, he was the MVP. He's been a critical part of that team. He can shoot the three. He can obviously dunk the ball. He's obviously explosive. He can get to the rim because when we think about great dunkers, sometimes we just think about space a little too much. We think about space a little too much because we think about dunk contests. We think about in-game dunking and dunk contests is not the same. So in-game, he knows how to split the defense. He knows how to rise up above defenders. So I think that we should watch out for Christian Ings for sure. And speaking of extra eyes, this is simple. I don't even want to talk about her too long, but Diamond Johnson is a dog. Diamond Johnson is the highest rated prospect that we'll have of any HBCU player, male or female, in 2025. And I think the expectation should be for her to come in and dominate. Will she do it? We'll see. But that should be the expectation, that she dominates. It should be the expectation that she dominates this game because of the prospect she is. And I'll be interested to see how she does it. Sometimes facilitation can be difficult in these type of games because she had a chemistry with her teammates of, all right, when you set this pick, you're going to roll like that. When you said you're going to pop like this, I know how you are. So I know where you're going to be. And it's just second nature. That doesn't happen in all-star games. She'll have a teammate with her, but for the most part, that does not happen in all-star games. So because it doesn't happen, that facilitation looks a little bit different. Maybe it's just her scoring more. That's what I would like to see. If you can facilitate, actually, that would be the most impressive. But scoring, that's what I would like to see. Then Shannon Grant. I thought he was so dominant in that championship game against Alabama State. I know that they ended up tiring him out because they had him running up and down the court, but I just thought he was such a dominant and athletic post presence that I want to see him in another game where he's an all-star matchup to see if he shows that same athleticism and power. And just kind of, for a big guy, he did a really good job getting skinny around other players. I thought it was a really good job by Shannon Grant, and it caught my eye for sure. And then talking about Layla Lawrence, the bigs, double machine. 22 of them, second in the nation, 222. That's an angel number for something, right? But like Diamond Johnson, she was high ranking in so many different aspects in the MEAC. Second in scoring, first in rebounds, fourth in blocks, second in steals, even came in ninth in assists. So you see, she's top 10 in so many critical categories. That's a dominant player. And I want to see what she's able to accomplish in this game as well. And then we'll wrap it up with Sanaya Reed. And this is simple. Everybody shoots the three these days. Nobody shot it better than she did in the SWAC. So in an all-star game where set offenses aren't going to run the game, this is what you need to see. You need to see players who are going to be three-point shooters and how can they operate as three-point shooters. That's a specialist, but I think it's a specialty that can really come in handy and can make her attractive to people who want to grab that. I'm not just talking about the W, I'm talking about all around the world, because we know this is a worldwide sport. But like I teased earlier, we're going to look at Paul A. Bryant and his history on Monday, because that guy is crazy. When you really look at it, the little big three that he has of Don Thornton, Dante Jackson, and then also Don. Oh, sorry. That was funny to me. I couldn't help it. But no, but the people that he has leading his program from the big three of football, basketball, men's basketball, and women's basketball, that is just a dominant trio for you to get. That's a dominant trio for you to get. So I want to break that down on Monday's episode and why that should be highlighted for him. In the meantime, between time until the next time we hear each other, family, take care, stay blessed. Peace.